Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. A couple of points before I get going. Thanks to Carl for the email with the pictures of the Bifreniaria, one of those. I must admit, it's one of my plants that's just been sat there, and it's only recently I've discovered that I've been treating it completely wrong and then still expecting it to bloom. Well, that doesn't happen, I'm afraid. So I've probably lost the possibility of blooms on that particular one. Before I get out there, this little Phalaenopsis has opened. This is the Zenming Brontosaurus, and as Phalaenopsis go, that is an attractive bloom. I love the patterning on it. It's delicate to say the least. But yeah, that's just opened. Other things. One of my pings has just opened. Can I get it in the sunshine? Yeah. I mean, those are lovely little blooms. And on a plant with a purpose. It catches those dratted fungus gnats. They're carnivorous little plants. I shuffled quite a few things round yesterday because, because I needed some things in a different place, and to put them where I wanted them, other things had to move. You know, that just happens naturally. My large Cattleya, for instance, was sat up on that top shelf, which meant the blooms were about an inch from the roof, up in the wires, up in there, and they didn't look very attractive up there, whereas down here I can actually see them from in the house. You know, they're a little lower than eye level. So it's just a matter of moving things around. You know, especially when they're in bloom, like this Nobly. That was all squashed up behind that big basket where I couldn't really see it very well. So I've brought that out, and to put that there, that's where my Cattleyas go. So some Cattleyas had to move, you know, so a little bit of shuffling yesterday while I was watering. Not a huge amount other than that. I'm not going to get in there today, but that Latoria is just opening, tucked away in there. Those are tiny little blooms, and maybe tomorrow or the next day, when at least the second bud is fully open, I'll get that out and we'll have a close look at that, because again, that's a first time bloomer. I don't know what the inside of those blooms look like, but I've got other things to do today. And the other thing is, just this Maxillaria bud is still not open, but it's quite interesting to film things as they progress. You know, this is what the buds look like when they're forming, and then you can actually see the shape of the flower forming, and you can already see how large the bloom's going to be, because obviously that's the bud, yeah, and those long pointy bits are going to be petals, sepals, whatever. So, you know, when they open out, you know, you can appreciate it's going to be quite a large bloom. Still going to be a couple of days before that pushes open. And in my mixed bag thing, I was going round and literally bothered filming this with its nice bud on, and forgot my Nellie Isla spike next to it, which is pushing on nicely. That had two new growths on it, both identical, and one of them just keeled over. It just died over a couple of days. I was worried about some sort of bacterial problem. That was a while ago now. But the other growth pushed on nicely and pushed up a spike. So that's good. We like good. The other thing I wanted to say is it's an apology, really, and this time not for something somebody else has done, but for something I did. I had a mini emergency yesterday afternoon. Somebody's car wouldn't go, and could I give them a lift, because where they needed to go was important to them, not to me, obviously. So I said, yeah, I've got nothing else to do. So off we went, and it turned into like a long-term visit. And by the time I got back, I'd missed Rachel's webcam online broadcast. I just missed it. You know, I turned the computer on when I got back and just had a look through, see if there were any new videos. And there was what looked like Rachel doing her live broadcast, but obviously that was the recording of the broadcast, so I couldn't join in. So sorry, Rachel, it's just stuff happens sometimes. I'm sure you'll do it again. And then I can poke my nose in. But it was good to watch it and listen to the people joining in. But I do need to find out how that all works. I really do. I've got a problem because my camera, although it's, you know, it's a semi-professional job, produces high quality video and pretty good sound. I'm very pleased with it overall, but it's not a webcam. It's not designed to work that way. But what it has got is an HDMI output of high quality. You know, that's obviously video and sound. So, you know, I could film direct to my big TV and it would look wonderful. But obviously to get the camera to work with the computer is a whole different ball game, because computers are not designed to take in an HDMI signal. Most of their input ports are based on USB. USB is for data. Yeah, well, video is not data, strictly speaking. It's a totally different format. So I'm having a look into, you know, some sort of conversion from, you know, an HDMI output from the camera, and convert that so that it'll work through a USB port. There's lots of gadgets and things around. Reports and sort of reviews don't sound too good. It's an awful lot of quality loss. And sometimes the sound doesn't work properly, so I'm not sure this camera is suitable to do a live broadcast with, but I'm looking at it. You know, it sounds like a bit of fun, quite honestly, something I'd like to do, but I'm not sure I want to go and spend loads of money to get new kit to be able to do it. I've had a look at buying a webcam, and looking at the reviews again and everything like that, I've found one that sounds good and would seriously do the job, but I could end up getting that and then actually find out that my Wi-Fi wouldn't be good enough. There's so many factors involved, and I don't want to go spending loads of money and then find it still doesn't work, if you see what I mean. So I'm working on it as opposed to doing something about it. So anyway, I didn't get all my watering done yesterday. I've got to crack on with that, and I've got things to do out and about today, so I certainly won't be doing that much in here today. So if there's anything else, I'll tag it on. If not, sorry Rachel, that's annoyed me when I got back and realised I'd missed it, you know, but they're one-off events basically, hopefully to be repeated. It would be nice. And sorry I didn't join in, but there was a reason. As I said, I was out, and by the time I got back a lot later than expected, it was over, so I missed it. Okay, if I don't film anything else, I'll end that one there. And as I say, thanks again to Carl for all the information on that Bifrenaria. So it's now got into that awkward stage, like with some of my dendrobiums. It's supposed to have a reasonable winter rest, but it didn't get anywhere near the light it should have had during the summer months. Let's get the flipping thing down. And it is now in a state of nuisance because it hasn't been treated properly during the year. So that's probably reduced its ability to bloom, if not negated it completely. And in addition to that, it's something I call hard-coated roots. Some of my Vandas are a bit like it, but these roots, I can pour water over and over those roots and they hardly go green at all. They're not hydrating properly. And as such, at this time of year, the new bulbs on this, hang on, I've got hold of my bulbophyllum here, pulling the blooms off. The latest two growths are the two on the outside edges, yeah? And they should not be desiccated at this time of year. They should be plump. So obviously this plant hasn't been getting anywhere near enough hydration to keep those nice and fat, which would also reduce its ability to bloom. Now in their resting period, that's what they're supposed to look like, yeah? So they do shrivel down a bit during their rest period. But as suggested, these don't like root disturbance, so getting a plant off a mount is obviously going to be disturbance, and some of them are well attached. You'll like this. They really are well attached. And they're also big fat roots that don't have a tendency to branch, although they are capable of it. If you look at that little one at the base of the mount, that's pushed out side growths. So any root destruction, getting it off of the mount, could be recoverable. And quite honestly, the advice given, and I've had a look round at this as well as the information I got sent by Carl, this would be better in a pot, quite honestly. And given the type of roots it's got, that would give it a lot more chance to hydrate before those roots dry off, because they dry fast, and I don't believe the plant's hydrating properly. So therein lies another problem. So I think it needs to go in a pot, but this would not be an ideal time to do it. Even though it's got a new growth with new roots pushing out, you know, and it's supposed to be resting at the moment. That's not a good time for a big upheaval. So I think I'll wait for the spring and some activity, and then perhaps get that one in a pot. And it needs a lot more light than it's been given, so the chances are it's still going to have to go up in the roof to get that really bright light. Apparently where it grows, it gets almost full sun, sometimes absolute full sun, but it tends to favour east facing areas, so it would get like rising sun, morning sun, which in most parts of the world hasn't got the heat in it yet. The equivalent sun at the end of the day, you know, the air's had a lot more time to warm up during the day, and that sun is warmer as a consequence. So this likes morning sun. It likes a lot of hydration, which it hasn't been getting. So I think we'll try treating that one a little bit more closer to the mark next year. So yeah, that's that thing. It's been not neglected, but just ignored, which is not quite the same thing. You know, when you've got a lot to do and lots of plants to look after, some get more looking after than others, you know, and that one's been one of the ones that it gets watered and put back, taken down, watered, put back. It doesn't get any thought. Well, the thought's gone in there now, and it needs some work. So I'll have to get at that one, I think. That's the expression. Okay. Yeah, if I don't find anything else, which I don't think I will, I need to get a move on out here today. And yeah, so I'll see you next time. And again, sorry, Rachel. Bad news. Next time I'll be in there annoying you like hell. See you next time.